Welcome to Conversations with Big Rich. This is an interview-style podcast. These interviewed are all involved in the off-road industry. Being involved, like all of my guests are, is a lifestyle, not just a job. I talk to past, present, and future legends, as well as business owners, employees, media, and land use warriors. Men and women who have found their way into this exciting and addictive lifestyle we call off-road. We discuss their personal history, struggles, successes, and reboots. We dive into what drives them to stay active in off-road. We all hope to shed some light on how to find a path into this world that we live and love and call off-road. This episode of Conversations with Big Rich is brought to you by the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. The mission of the Hall of Fame is to educate and inspire present and future generations of the off-road community by celebrating the achievements of those who came before. We invite you to help fulfill the mission of the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame. Join, partner, or donate today. Legends live at ORMHOF.org. Today's guest on Conversations with Big Rich is a 2016 ORMHOF inductee, the owner of the historic team Party Ice, which included the likes of drivers like Malcolm Smith, Bud Feldkamp, Rick and Roger Mears, Bobby Fierro, Kitty O'Neill, and even the rock legend Ted Nugent. That guest is Tracy Valenta. Hello, Tracy Valenta. It's so great to have you on the podcast this morning, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. I'm here for you.
All right, so let's get started. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in the White Memorial Hospital in Los Angeles.
Born in LA.
I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley.
All right, San Gabriel Valley, and it was fairly rural at that time?
Yeah, yes.
And what was it like growing up there?
Oh, it was great. I lived in Monterey Park in Alhambra. I more or less grew up in Alhambra, and it was when we used to be able to drink water out of the hose and play football in the street, and we had a ball.
And you had to be home when the overhead lights outside came on, right?
Yep, that's right.
I understand that. And as a kid, what kind of activities did you enjoy besides football in the street?
Oh, football, baseball. I was pretty active.
Okay. Did you have a bicycle, a motorcycle, anything like that as you growing up?
Yeah, I used to put bikes together and make them the way I wanted to, and paint them and made them look nice and sell them.
There you go. So you were an entrepreneur early.
I guess so. And then I did the same thing with cars.
Okay. And what was school like for you? Were you a good student, or were you one of those that was always looking out the window wanting to get back outside?
Well, to be honest with you, I had issues because I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
Back then, they did not know what that was. And they kept saying to my parents, I could do better if I try harder because I'm intelligent, but they just didn't get it.
Right. I understand that. And so you got through school though. And
Yep.
did you play sports and stuff then?
Yeah, I played C football when I was in high school.
Okay. And how about any like tech courses like auto shop or anything like that?
Yeah, I had all that.
And what was your favorite class?
Auto shop.
Auto shop. And what was it about auto shop that you really liked?
Oh, I bought a 32 Ford for $50 and I was able to rebuild it in auto shop, so I like that part.
Nice. 32 Ford. That's awesome.
That was a Roadster.
Roadster. Nice. And you said from building bicycles and selling them, you started doing the same thing with cars. Did that start there in high school?
Yeah.
And what were some of the cars that you flipped over?
Well, I had, I think, 354 Mercuries. I had a 50 Mercury. I had a 47 Mercury. I had a 50 Ford.
Nice. Did you
and then
did
my
you
Roadster.
oh, and your Roadster, but you kept on that, didn't you? Or did you sell
Yeah,
that as well?
no, I sold it.
Okay. And how old were you when you sold it? Were you still in high school or
Yeah, I think I was 17.
17? Okay. And what was it about the cars that you really liked? Was it the freedom or just the being able to work on them?
Both. I just enjoyed doing something, accomplishing something.
Right. Was your dad or any of the male influences as you were growing up car people?
No, just me.
Just you.
I was the only child, so
Okay. All right. Was there anybody in the neighborhood that did the same thing that might have that you might have caught some of that from?
no,
No.
not the same way as I did.
Okay. Did you participate in street racing or drag racing?
A little bit. Used to go out to the Pomona Fair. I had with my '54 Mercuries. I put T-Bird motors in them. The three back then was good, and I had three carburetors, and I used beer cans for velocity stacked.
What brand of beer?
102.
There you go. And how did that all translate into jobs or anything like that when you were flipping your own cars? But did you work in the industry as well?
No, my first job was at Sears and Roebuck uh, for mail order, and then I went to work for Offenhauser in a machine shop, and they taught me how to run the mills and the lathes. But wasn't really. I was making automotive parts, but that's about it.
Okay. And that's at what point did that transition? How long were you at Offenhauser?
A couple of years, and then I started my own business manufacturing packaged dice when I was about 20.
Okay. And was that like were you the originator of the Party Ice Company, or were you like a subsidiary or a franchise?
No, actually, there was two other people that were doing it, and then the way I got into it is my dad. I used to work there part time too for my dad, but they sold ice machines. My dad, my uncle, and so I started putting. They had all these machines running and testing, and so I'd take the ice to the liquor store and sell it.
Okay.
Then I went to an auction and bought a couple of my own ice machines, really cheap, and I put them in my garage. Then my dad um, had a big 5,000 pound ice machine that uh, in the White Memorial Hospital, and they had to cut it in four pieces to get it out. And then I contacted the manufacturer, and they had a rep right in my area, and we really became best friends. And he helped me to put it back together.
Very nice. So your dad was working in the industry too, but just selling the machines, or was he
Well, they
producing
were
ice?
selling. No, they were selling ice machines to liquor stores, markets, poultry stores.
So people could bag their own.
No, yeah, or for display.
Okay.
The in the cabinets, fish cabinets, and the poultry cabinets,
All right.
and then they would sell them to restaurants, and quite a bit was mostly went into restaurants.
And there was no conflict of you doing kind of the same thing as your dad was doing?
No, it was completely the opposite.
Because you
They
were
weren't
selling the
selling ice.
ice. Okay.
Yeah, they were selling the machines.
Okay. So you started Party Ice. How'd you come up with that name?
It just felt like a fit.
It
I
did really
had
well.
I had Tracy's ice delivery when I first started, and then um, I designed my own ice bags, and that's when I went with Tracy's Party Ice.
Very good. And how long did you were you in the ice business?
25 years.
Wow. Okay. And so that's I know that you're pretty famous for your party ice team or team party ice, where
Uh-huh.
you raced and you sponsored racers and you developed more of a team concept than what others were doing back then. How did that all come about? How did you come up with like the team concept?
Well, to start from the beginning, um, I went to Baja. There was 12 of us, and one of them had a dune buggy. And then I got to drive it, and then I thought, well, this is what I want to do. And so I got a dune buggy, and my friends were going out to Glimas, and I got the chassis. Um, then I started putting it together, and I said, you know what? I always wanted to go racing. So I never made it to the sand dunes, and I built a two-seater, started racing like at Borrego and Saddleback, and I crashed it at Saddleback, and I thought, shit, how am I going to build another one out? Because I had money in that one. And then I tell my friends I want to build another one. Then I wasn't quite sure. And then I don't know if you remember J-Mar with Marv Shaw.
Okay.
Anyway, he was famous for the steering brakes.
Right.
And he knew Rick Mears real well. And he said, you know what? If you got Rick to drive for you, you could probably get some sponsors. And so that's how that came about.
So you just went and talked to Rick Mears and said, "Hey, you want to drive for me?"
Pretty much, yeah. Marv set it up for me,
Okay.
just as a friend.
Nice. And what was that conversation like with Rick Mears?
Yeah, he was all for it. Well, and then I went to before I even did that, I went to Scott McKenzie, and at that time he was just working in a shop, working on Malcolm's and Bud's car. He had left Sandmaster and Modern Motors, and he was just in a little shop. I went and talked to him, and I said, if I could get Rick Mears to drive for me, would you be interested in putting the car together for me? And he agreed. So that's how that went. Then I eventually became partners with Scott at McKenzie Automotive.
Oh, okay. That I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't find that in the research. Awesome. And approximately what time frame was that? I know you started racing yourself in around 72.
Yeah, that was pretty much right around that era,
Okay.
71, 72.
And when you got that team together and started, did you was Baja on your mind, or was it just the local races?
Uh, well, everything was always on my mind. I always try to look further out than probably most people, maybe because I'm dyslexic. But uh, a lot of people started wanting to help me because I had Rick, and they were excited because they could see a winning team. And then once I had Rick and Roger, then um, Mickey Thompson introduced me to Bob Hanna, and so I put him in a car. And then Bob Hanna introduced me to Marty Tripes, and I put him in a car. And then Mickey Thompson also introduced me to Ted Nugent.
Nice.
Yeah,
And Marty ended up becoming like one of your best friends, correct?
absolutely. I'm the godfather to his daughter. We're still best friends.
Nice. Very good. What were those early days of racing like with those guys?
It was great. They were all excited. I think Malcolm Smith he took things safety more serious than anybody else did. He was always concerned about safety.
Well, that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, no, he's no dummy,
Right?
right? They
And
were always really good to get along with. I never had a problem with any of the drivers.
and I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who do you think was the best of those drivers?
Well, Rick was. Marty might have had the most natural talent, and even Mickey told me that. But Rick obviously was the best driver.
Right.
And
And
Bobby Farrow was really good in the desert.
what about somebody like Kitty O'Neill?
Well, she was more of a co-driver,
Okay.
and she just liked the sport, and she was really fun to work with too.
And any good stories from like Baja?
Uh, None of I can just remember enjoying everything.
Okay.
I think my favorite place when I was racing was Bay of Los Angeles. I just there was nobody there. Um, there was no generators, and there was only Mama and Papa Diaz, and you would eat with them. They'd eat 3 times a day, and you.
It's very very scenic there as well. Absolutely
Yeah,
gorgeous.
so many fish in that little bay right there. It's incredible. I was fortunate enough that there was some people that had a glass boat that they brought in. And they took us in the glass boat. I'd never seen so many fish in my life. Every fish you could even think of.
Wow.
Is amazing. I
And
never forgot it. Never will.
did you pick up the sport of fishing? Did you try to go
Oh,
after those?
I like to fish, but just in my spare time.
Right. And the the racing with these guys and their how was it with that team built up? You were able to pretty much garner sponsors pretty easily because of the driver lineup you had.
Yeah, it helped a lot. Was able to get Goodyear involved and Budweiser
Right.
and Valvoline. That all helped.
And the the team concept was it just every was it every man for himself with inside the team, or was there a lot of teamwork going on even with while everybody was racing each other on the track or on course?
You mean with competitors?
Yeah,
Yeah,
with your team within your team.
oh, within my team, yeah, everybody got along, and we worked as a team.
And were you surprised that others didn't put together a team concept like you had started, or did that start happening after you did that?
I didn't even think about it. That I just did it the way I wanted to do it.
And what was your mind thought behind that kind of a team concept?
I just went with the flow. I just as things come up, I take advantage of it.
Okay.
I think a modern motor came the closest to copying this.
Modern motor. Okay. And did you continue racing yourself, or you were just team manager owner?
Yeah, once I had all the cars, I wasn't driving anymore because I had 5 cars, and sometimes they were. I was up in Montreal, a couple cars, and racing a couple cars down in Baja at the same time.
Wow. And so you hit just about every kind of racing off road, correct?
Yes.
So you did short course. Did you guys do any rally racing?
No rally, stadium racing.
Stadium. What was it like in those stadium races? Because that was before I got into the racing and you know going to races and stuff, and it was the pictures looked pretty incredible. What was it like being in within say the L.A. Coliseum?
It was exciting. And what we did that nobody else had ever done is, um, I was so excited about it. I um, I bought 1,000 seats altogether, and we sold them for at our cost, uh, just to help Mickey get the people interested. So I did that on my own.
Wow, that's a heck of a promotion right there.
Yeah, I got a great picture with uh, at the front of the Mint Hotel when they used to have contingency in front of there, giving Mickey the check for the seats, and all my drivers were in the picture too. Malcolm and Bud and Glenn Harris, Bobby Sherrill. They were all there, all my desert racers.
And you still have that picture?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
And what was the what was it that about that the team do you think, a lot of times when you get a bunch of people together with that are all A-type personalities, which most every racer is because you have to be to go for the win.
Right.
What was it like trying to keep everybody cohesive and together?
It was never an issue because probably I'm not a personality. Um, so I was more calm and reasonable, and uh, that's the way I dealt with everybody.
Okay, that makes
I,
sense.
I didn't feel like we had to go out to win, but I wanted to have the right equipment so we could.
And you would field multiple cars in the same class, or did you guys
Yeah,
run in different classes?
no, I was running in the same class,
Interesting. And was
but
it
I did have a class two car that was in class two, but I think I had four class one cars.
that could have been pretty interesting? Was there ever a time where you swept the podium?
Yeah, we did in Phoenix. It was called the Firebird Off-Road Championships.
And you were
We
able.
took one. We took 1, 2, 3 with uh, Bob Hanna, Roger Mears, and Brian Harbour.
Very good, very nice. And how was it? Was it easy getting sponsors back then with that kind of a lineup?
Not really. Um, we tried hard. They just kind of fell in place, but we sent out a lot of stuff, but it didn't get too many takers. One thing I never could figure out is why Pennzoil didn't want to sponsor us, because but we stuck with Valvoline.
Okay,
But they sponsored Rick in the Indy cars, so
right. Did you ever go to Indy with Rick?
no. But I went to a couple places where he was making an appearance. He invited me.
And what was you how long have you been married? You are married, correct?
No,
Oh, okay.
I had a lady friend for a long time, and she passed away like 4 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's life.
Yep. It is. That is. And what was it like when you got inducted to the Hall of Fame? What was that night like
Exciting.
for you?
Exciting. It's, I had so many friends that turned out. I was amazed.
And it's quite the show. Have you been able to attend any of the galas since you were inducted?
Yeah, I think I've attended all but one.
Okay. And we're back this year to just before SEMA, the Sunday before SEMA.
Right. I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend right now. My age is catching up to me. For some reason, I'm still able to sell travel trailers and fifth wheels, but it's catching up to me too. I'm going to try to make it till November when I turn 85, and then might have to call it quits.
Right. Okay. And after Party Ice as a business and a racing team, you became a car salesman. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did that, and I also moved to Canada for 7 years. I got married up there. I met a girl when I was racing up there. We got married, but I sold RVs up there. That's where I learned how to sell trailers and fifth wheels and motorhomes.
Okay. And what part of Canada were you in?
Northern Quebec,
Oh
way
wow.
up there. Yeah, it's called Notre Dame du Nord. It's in the Temiskaming area.
Interesting. And then after Canada, you came back down and continued selling RVs?
Well, I got a job selling RVs, but it was a small company and they didn't have any benefits or anything. And so I decided to give, I had a friend that was working at Ford and I got a job with Ford selling cars. And then I moved up. My manager went to Lexus and I went with him.
And I noticed that you just got a new car. Is that correct?
Yeah, how'd you know that?
That's my
Well,
job is to do a little research.
okay, yeah, I've had a Tacoma since 2013. I bought it brand new, but it's getting a little hard for me to get in and out of, and the vision isn't quite as good as in the Highlander. And, I just feel like it's time for me to step down from a pickup into an SUV.
And so you got the Lexus, which is the
Well, I got a Highlander.
okay. All right.
I bought it from the Lexus dealership down here, but
Okay.
it just they had the best price around for what I was looking for.
Okay, great. Excellent. And you're continuing to work selling RVs now, or are you still
Yes,
okay?
yeah, I'm working on an RV ready in Lake Elsinore.
Nice. And what are your after November? You turn 85. You're looking at retiring at that point.
Yeah, if I feel I can keep going on, but I think it's going to be a stretch for me to make it to 85 right now. I'm starting to have quite a few issues. One of them's like in my back. It's starting to really hurt.
Right, and that back when your core like that starts to hurt. It's pretty difficult to manage.
Right. Yeah, it's arthritis, so there's not much they can do.
Very true. Very true. So then, with the racing and everything that you've done, is there one race that may stand out that you remember? As a team that you just thought you just totally made it at that point.
Oh, definitely the Coliseum, and then um, in Phoenix was big for me because we took off first, second, and third.
Right.
Um, those were probably my two best memories. One in the Mexicali 250 riding with Bobby Farrell was something I'll never forget.
Why is that? What was the What was so memorable?
Oh, just a lot of things. One thing when we were racing, it was cold, but I forget what we were. He wanted to do something while he was driving. Oh, he wanted me to take the covers off of the headlights. So I stood up. I stepped on the gas line. And so I kept telling him to slow down, slow down. And he said, "He can. I'm on the throttle." Back then, we used a wire to control the throttle, and that's where
And you were stepping on the wire.
right. And then after the race, he was just crazy. We finished the race, and then we had to go to impound downtown. And I thought he was going to kill us because he went through the traffic just like a crazy man. But we got there. But that was Bobby. Bobby was different.
Sounds like an experience.
Yeah, he's a great racer and a great friend.
So with when you brought Rick Mears in as the team, your first race, what was that like with Rick, or that first season?
Just as good as it could be. He was really great to work with and fun to be around, and just a gentleman.
A real wheelman too, right?
Right.
And did you feel like he could drive just about anything?
Yeah.
When with Malcolm, Malcolm is one of those guys that you know on any Sunday is when I was introduced to Malcolm with that movie, and
Oh,
that was pretty incredible. Um, was what was was he still riding bikes when he was with Party Ice as well?
just I think he was getting out of them. Um, he was a great desert racer. Uh, he used to tell me when he'd go too fast, he'd throw up.
Oh, really?
And then Bobby Farrell told me that he spun him around a few times. And I went to a book signing for Malcolm, and I was talking to him, and I asked him, I says, "Is it true that Bobby spun you around?" He said, "Yeah, he did it a couple times to me."
So
I thought that was funny.
yeah, that is very interesting. So what was Ted Nugent like? I mean, everybody calls him Uncle Ted now. You
Uh
know,
huh.
so was he pretty outlandish as a rock star and everything back then?
Oh, big time. Oh, yeah.
And as a driver,
Yeah, he had to learn. He picked it up a little bit, but he wasn't in the same caliber as the other drivers. But he was fun to work with, and he took it serious, and he applied himself 100%. He could have been as good if he had more experience at it.
right? But being a rock star took up a lot of his time.
Right. But and I went out to his house in Michigan, and he was real congenial, and uh, he never did drugs or alcohol. He was very straight.
Right. No, I understand that about him nowadays. He's come out and done some off roading in Texas at a friend's off road park,
Uh huh.
and they really enjoyed the times that he's come out there to wheel with them
Yeah.
and to hunt. So
Right. Yeah. At his ranch, I think he had 400 acres up in Flint, Michigan, and he had little tree houses all over, so he could hunt the deer from there. But he only um, would eat what he killed. He didn't eat any other kind of meat. He just ate what he would kill.
Right. He didn't kill for pleasure. He killed for the meat.
Right.
Right. And so when you retire and you're no longer selling, are you going to just take it easy, or are you going to travel? What are some of the things you want to do?
Probably both. I like photography too, so I might
Okay.
get out and take more pictures.
Very good. And
my son moved up to Henderson just right now. He's in the process of getting settled in up there. He just bought a house a couple of months ago. And then I've got other friends that live in St. George, so I can visit all those people up there.
very, very nice area in St. George. My son is up in that area in Hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even just found out Mark Stahl lives up there too, so I'll probably go visit him.
Yeah, I just interviewed Mark Stahl a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you? He's
Yeah.
a great guy.
Very good guy. Yep. In fact, he has now contacted my son, because my son does a big event up there in that area at the Hurricane Sand Dunes, and so he's going to be participating in that event come this late September, early October.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that you would say to, or what would you say to somebody that says, Tracy, I want to get into racing. How should I go about it?
Well, it depends on what they would like to do, what kind of racing they want to do, how much money they have. It's not cheap anymore. I built my first car for like $3,000.
You can't even buy
with
a set of
everything.
wheels for that.
Yeah, even when I retired, the motors were running like 10 grand. Now the shocks are running like 15 and 20,000. So it takes a lot of money unless you want to get into like a class 11 car or something. So it's not easy to get into unless you have the money.
Yep, like they say, how to make $1 million in off-road racing.
Right.
Start with 2 or 3.
Right, exactly.
Well, Tracy, I want to say thank you so much for spending the time this morning and talking with me and sharing your life and your racing history and some of the stories that you have about the guys racing with you. And I want to say it was it was very pleasurable for me to have this conversation with you. And I really hope I get a chance to see you at ORMHOF if you are able to make it this year.
Okay, I'll give it a shot if I can.
All righty. You have a great rest of your day, and take care of that back, all right?
Yeah, I enjoyed talking with you too. Thank you, Rick.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's another episode of Conversations with Big Rich. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a review on any podcast service that you happen to be listening on, or send us an email or a text message or a Facebook message, and let me know any ideas that you have, or if there's anybody that you have that you think would be a great guest, please forward the contact information to me so that we can try to get them on. And always remember, live life to the fullest. Enjoying life is a must. Follow your dreams and live life with all the gusto you can. Thank you.